Welcome to Quick Tips for Thinkorswim. Today's quick tip is how to create a grid chart useful for earnings. What we talk about today is intended for educational and informational purposes only. Don't consider it a recommendation. Options carry a high level of risk and are not suitable for all investors. I've got a chart up here that has 6 grids, and let me tell you what we have going on here. So we have on this left side a 1 minute, 1 day chart for each of these 3 stocks. And then over on the right-hand side, we have a 3-month daily chart with no studies. Well, with the exception of one. Now I have it linked. This first group is on the yellow 2. So if you type in a ticker symbol here, it'll appear over here in the 3-month chart. Same thing here with MS, except we're using the blue 3, and on Netflix, we're using the 5 purple. Okay, so each would reflect on the right-hand side. Now, why can this be helpful? How can you use this? Well, when stocks announce their earnings, a lot of time it happens in the post-market and in the pre-market. So for example, today ASML announced, and so did Morgan Stanley. If we look at ASML, the gray area represents after hours and before hours. So this gray over here on the left-hand side was, we see, after the close, maybe a little bit of a ramp up in the price. We see when the actual earnings release was, and then we see how the market is reacting after that. So it looks like kind of maybe initial knee-jerk reaction is down a little bit here. And then later in the post-market, it started to climb up a bit. Now, as we go forward here, we can see this little right-hand side is what happened this morning in the pre-market. So we can tell, is it carrying the same momentum that it did in the post-market, right after they announced? Sometimes they might be in a similar spot, sometimes they might not. Maybe in the post-market, the stock was down, and in the morning, in the pre-market, it's up. So we want to track both of those. It looks like this particular stock overall looks like it dipped. And we can see over here on our 3-month chart, if I zoom in here, we can see indeed, yeah, it has fallen. It's useful to be able to see that 3-month view in context and while you're watching this left-hand side on the intraday moves. Now, Morgan Stanley did the same thing. They announced last night, or actually they announced this morning before the market opened. So that's why they don't have as long of a time frame here. And so once the news was out, looks like there maybe wasn't much of a reaction. And then maybe a little bit later on started to really ramp up. Now, when we get to this black space here, that represents today's trading. So pre-market's in the gray, the full black is what's going on now. So immediately out of the gate, we can see a few big candles here looking like, yeah, Morgan Stanley had a little bit of a gap up, and we can see it's kind of maintained that today. As we come over here on the right side, we can see, we can see that little gap up, and we can see it looks like a little bit of continuation with that pattern. Now, Netflix did not announce today or yesterday. They are due to announce, let's put my mouse over here, they're going to announce on the 16th, which is tomorrow. Or when you're listening to this, it might be tonight, okay, on April 16th. And so what we can do with it is just kind of be tracking it when Netflix announces their earnings. We can just kind of see what the market's initial reaction is in the post-market, and then we'll be able to see it pre-market as well, similar to ASML. And then once the opening bell rings, what happens after that point? Now, there's on the right side something we call the market maker move. And the market maker move is an indication of what the options have been priced at the money, And it gives us an idea of what kind of a move those market makers are expecting. It's not guaranteed to make that move. It could be bigger, it could be smaller, but it gives us an idea of what's priced in. So on Netflix, part of this chart is showing you what the market maker move is. So Netflix is expected to move up or down about $7.34 for the event, which is about a 6.87% move. And then these yellow lines here indicate what would that look like. Here's the move up 734 and here's the move down 734. So it can be helpful to have that in view at the same time that you're seeing what's happening in the post-market and pre-market activity. Now I'm going to save this grid out in the notes here so that if you're interested in having it, you can copy over that think script. Anytime we share scripts, remember they are not guaranteed as to accuracy or timing. So I will save the market maker move script as well as this grid that has it embedded. And then hopefully for you, this will be something that you can use when you have earnings, and earnings are just around the corner. They're heating up this week. So enjoy.